Hey guys, Wilson here with Cabinet Startup, and if you are here watching this video, it's because you are either interested in starting a cabinet shop or interested in learning how to do the skill, or maybe even just interested in starting a business of your own and you're looking for some support and help to do it. And I can tell you, if you are any of those three categories, you are absolutely in the right place. What I'm going to be teaching today is I'm going to show you the system that we use. It's a short version of how to create a successful business plan for the business that you're planning on launching. Now, we're big fans of obviously cabinet refinishing. I've got a shop. Steve's got a shop. In the last 2 years, we've helped over 45 people launch different locations throughout the United States. We're talking big cities, small little tiny towns, people that live in the metropolis and people that live in the most rural parts of the U.S. And what's really amazing about this opportunity is the cabinet refinishing business is amazing anywhere where people have homes, which for the most part in the United States is everywhere. And so we're going to be going through and teaching you this process and showing you this guide through the lens of cabinet refinishing, because that's what we have the most familiarity with, and it makes it a little bit easier. However, you can apply what I'm going to be showing you today to any business. And in fact, I use this in a number of different businesses that I've been involved in the past, and we've had several seven-figure businesses that we've used the exact same system for when we're launching and getting going. All right, so I'm going to walk you guys through this one-page business plan, and we're going to kind of go through each step of it. Now, I'm going to take you guys through a very short version of this. You should spend more time in this, because if you're serious about starting a business, and think about this for a second. If you are serious about starting a business and you can't spend 3-4 hours thinking through in detail every single part of how you're going to approach the business, but you plan to go spend 40 hours a week for the next 10 years doing it, it's absolutely crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. Like, if you want to succeed in your business, if you're actually serious about it and you want to do well, right, it is incredibly, incredibly important that you take the necessary steps and you do what's required to get there. And what's required to get there is going to be you planning, preparing, knowing everything you need to know, and like from the very beginning, having the pieces in place. And if you don't know something, right, like if you know that you need something but you don't know how to do it, that's okay. But not even mapping it out is unacceptable. And so I'm going to take you guys through this. I'm also going to reference a few other tools and materials that you guys can use. But let's start first and foremost with the why statement here, and we can, let's see if we can zoom in here. So, for example, right, most people when they're looking at a why statement, right, the typical thing that they're going to say is okay, why do you want to start your business? Well, I hate my boss, right? Reason number one. Or maybe something like, okay, why do you want to start your business? I'm tired of making other people rich, right? Why do you want to start your business? You know what? Honestly, man, and this is one that I hear all the time, I've always wanted to. Always wanted to. It's like, okay, but why do you want to? That's like, so I want to go on a roller coaster. Why do you want to go on a roller coaster? I've always wanted to. Okay, well, why have you always wanted to, right? The fact that you want to right now and the fact that you want to 6 months ago, a year ago, doesn't actually explain the why. And that's what we're trying to get to here, right? Like, these answers, for the most part, I hope you see the pattern here. I hate my boss. Okay, well, what does you hating your boss have to do with starting a business, right? What does you making other people rich have to do with you starting a business? And so we always want to say, okay, well, what's that very next step? What comes after that? And a lot of times, oops. All right, so, hey, my boss, tired of making other people rich. I've always wanted to. That's your surface level. So you want to know what's deeper than that. You hate your boss. What does it have to do with that? Okay, well, I'm grumpy every day when I come work, and I'm tired of it. All right, so you're grumpy and you're tired of it. All right, well, why is you being grumpy a problem? It's like, okay, well, it's a problem because I take it out on my kids and on my wife sometimes, and that's not who I want to be. Okay, boom, that's a why, right? So that's not who you want to be. So why do you want to start your business? I want to start a business that I can control and can be a better father to my children, better husband to my wife. Now, do you see how much more powerful that is than I hate my boss, right? And interestingly enough, we get there the same way. I'm tired of making other people rich. Okay, why is that a problem? Well, because I'm not making the money that I could be making, and that money could go to my family. Okay, well, what's wrong with that? You know, is your family starving? Well, no, but I want the best for my wife, my children. I want to be able to send my children to the top college, and they not have to worry about it, right? I didn't go to college because I didn't have the finance to pay for it myself, and I don't want them to have to worry about that. So I want to start a business so that I can make the kind of money that's going to be required to send my children through college and let them graduate debt-free, right? You see why that's a powerful why? Because that way when something happens and things are getting hard and you're frustrated, right? It's not like, well, I hate my boss. That's why I'm my boss now. This sucks. I'll quit, right? And that's what people leave their own businesses. Instead, you can be like, yeah, this sucks, but on the other side of this, I'm going to be able to send my children to college and they're going to graduate debt-free. And that is worth it. And so having that clear why, whatever your why is, having that clear why is incredibly important. You know, for myself and Steven, right, our why is we want to change the way that people get into the trades. You know, for me specifically, it comes back to a personal experience that I had, right? When I was about 17, my father was laid off, right? And, you know, we grew up, we had a great lifestyle, man. We lived in a small town in the southeast. We grew up near a golf course. Like, it was beautiful. It was pretty. Everything was cool. But all of a sudden, everything changed, and it changed rapidly. And my parents were worried. They were afraid. They were scared. And I watched them go through this, right? Worrying about how they were going to pay for their kids to go to school, how they were going to cover things like basic necessities like clothes and shoes. And I never want to see somebody go through the type of pain and anguish that my parents went through when that happened. And so my why, I want to change the way that people get in the trades so people don't have to suffer the way my family suffered when my father lost his job. Okay? Now, there's some other really great things about it. Like, we love that when people start businesses, right, they're able to employ people. They're able to employ people in their local community. It really helps. It does so many amazing things. But for me personally, this is my why. Okay? So, we want to look at, all right, we got our why. We got some clarity. Okay, cool. So, what are our goals, right? What do we actually want to make happen here? And so, let's kind of go through these because there's some good ways of looking at this, right? You know, like with anything else, we've got short-term goals, we've got long-term goals. The way I like to think of this, short-term is 3 months, right? So, like when we started our most recent shop, me and my partner in Austin, Texas, what we were looking at is, okay, in the first 3 months, what are things that we want to accomplish? So it's like, okay, cool. So we're going to have all of our branding, website, social media, and paid advertising set up by day 30, okay? The other thing that we wanted to do that was super important was find shop location, okay? And then we wanted to close 8 deals. So this is our goal for the first 3 months. Now, why did we choose these goals, right? And we actually picked these out. We said, okay, well, we know that if we close 8 deals, we look at an average of $4,000 a deal. That's $32,000 in 90 days. Okay? Why do we want to find a shop? Well, with this business, you can pre-sell your deals. So we sold our deals and we mapped them out. Our first deal started 6 weeks after we closed it. Okay, why is that really important to us, right? Austin is booming. Okay, Austin is blowing up right now. Like, you cannot find warehouse space, you cannot find a home, you cannot find shop space, you cannot find anything in Austin because everyone is moving there. Okay, so we knew that we had to get started on that early. Okay, branding website, and this is important. Why? Because we know we have to be more professional because we're newer, right? We have to make up that difference. There are guys that may have been around for 15, 20 years. People know who they are. They don't have any website. They don't have any presence, but people know who they are, okay? We have to make up for that by showing, like, we take this more seriously than they do. So we built all that stuff up. If you guys want, you can check that out. It's atxcabinetrefinishing.com. We're really, really proud. My partner Logan is crushing it. He's absolutely amazing, and he works his butt off. But then we're also looking, okay, well, what are our long-term goals? Now, for long-term, I like to do one-year goals, okay? I can tell you, our one-year goals are very aggressive, and part of the reason our one-year goals are aggressive is because we have launched 45. With me and my partner Steven in Cabinet Startup have launched 45 of these shops in the last 2 years. And so we're working, I'm working with Logan here in Austin. That gives us the ability to really push, right? We can push a lot faster because we have all the information. I'm much more deeply involved in his shop. And so our one-year goal, right? In 1 year, we want to have 3 crews. Whoop, let me see if I can fix that. 3 crews operating simultaneously. And that's approximately 3 jobs per week. Year 1 goal, we want to maintain a 50% profit margin. Is that aggressive? Yeah, it's aggressive. And if we miss and we hit 45, I guess I'll have to cry myself to sleep at night, right? So we really focus on running a lean ship, right? It's very easy to do in the beginning because you're in startup mode, but a lot of people buy stuff they don't need as time goes on. So for us, one of the long-term goals, we're going to keep a really, really, really solid profit margin. Okay, next step. From there, what do we want? All right, 3 crews operating simultaneously, approximately 3 jobs per week. Okay, we want to launch a second location in North Austin. Okay, so these are our long-term goals. Why? 3 crews operating simultaneously, that means even on the really low end of things, right? That's about $50,000 a month. It's over $500,000 in the first year, okay? Why do we maintain a 50% profit margin? Because we want to launch multiple locations. And if we're going to launch multiple locations, we have to fund those locations, okay? And then obviously going along the same goal, right? We want to launch a second location in North Austin. Now, these are our goals. You want to come up with your own goals that are specific to you. But I'd like you to think of it in 3 months, 1 year. All right. So these are our goals, right? Long-term, short-term. The next stage is, what are the objectives that we need to complete in order to reach that? Okay. So here's an example. Now, I'm going to be real transparent with you guys about this. Okay. If you do this properly, you're going to need a little bit more space than this. Like, this could be its own page. For example, and this is, part of the reason why people join programs like Cabinet Startup is because there is so much to think about and consider as you're going through this, right? Even with branding, okay? So we have to choose our branding colors and palette, okay? From there, we have to find a designer, select a budget. Awesome. And then we need to, so we got to get the website built. Okay, so we need to find a website designer, set up hosting, okay, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so shop location. What part of town? What's our budget? How much would we need up front? Eight deals. Okay, so where are our first clients coming from? Are we advertising? What's our budget? Do we have a sales process? Do we have professional attire / uniforms? Okay, so these are like just tip of the iceberg, right? We didn't talk about LLCs, right? We didn't talk about setting up, all the tax. Do we get an accountant? What are all the different pieces that we need to know? Some of the things that make it to this list may be unnecessary. Some of the things that don't make it to the list may be necessary. That's why we think it's really important, if you've never done this before, find someone who has. Get some help. If you've got a lot of free time, there's a lot of resources out there. There's nothing wrong with YouTube University, right? If you're here, you're kind of on YouTube University, right? It's important that you get help from someone who knows what they're doing. Now, the SWOT analysis I think is really important, because I have gone through potential business ideas before. You get to the SWOT analysis and you go, actually, you know what? I do not like this business. This isn't going to work. Look at that. We do weekly reminders every week for students with Cabinet Startup to go through their finance and everything at the end of the week. So let's talk about the SWOT for, where's my little button here? Let's talk about the SWOT for cabinet refinishing. Now, whatever business you're doing this with, if it was epoxy, heck, if it was drop shipping, right? You can go through this. So for cabinet refinishing, what are the strengths? So it's a high skill requirement. So there is less competition. Okay. What are the other strengths? Highly profitable. And high revenue. Let me make it stop doing that. There we go. So, it's highly profitable, high dollar jobs. Like, we tell people when they're starting, you should be charging somewhere between $3,500 to $4,500. That's kind of like a good starting point. Be a little on the low end compared to us. I know our shop in Orlando does significantly higher than that. The shop in Austin's on the high end of that average. And so it's like, okay, cool. Higher skill requirements, so it's less competition. It's highly profitable. Let's see. It's a niche. Kitchen only. People willing to pay a premium. This is actually one of my favorite things. Like, if you guys have ever turned on HGTV, you can't watch that 5 minutes without somebody going to the kitchen. It's the first thing people look at. And so it's also the place where people are willing to invest the most money typically. And so if I'm going to be doing a service, I want to do the service in the place where people are most likely to pay top dollar. I mean, let's be honest. We are here to perform a service, but we're performing that service because, again, going back to our why, right? Our why is so I control my environment and be a better father to my children, better husband to my wife. I need to have the funds to be able to do that, so I want to win a high opportunity, okay? Now, let's talk about opportunities. And these are opportunities. I like to think of this as like more within the market. So, what are some opportunities? Well, this is a big one that we put there, okay? There's currently a shortage of contractors. And this is a big deal, man. It's kind of crazy. Like, where I grew up, they were like, yeah, if you don't go to college, it's because you're stupid. And it's like, we don't not. It's not like we don't read. It's not that we're not educated. It's not that we're not smart. It's that we like working with our hands, right? We have spent as much time learning how to be the best at running a cabin refinishing shop as a doctor spends learning how to be the best doctor, right? It's all about self-improvement and education. But the narrative in the United States, which has been, oh yeah, you only go into working with your hands if you can't go to college, that's silly. And what it's led to is there's a huge shortage of contractors out there. Like if you call in your local area a good contractor with a great reputation, at least right now, and again, it's 2021 right now, we're in July 2021, but right now, you're looking at 4, 5, 6 months out before they can come visit. That is a big deal. There's a shortage of contractors. If there's a shortage of contractors, that means there's opportunity in the market. What else? What's some other opportunity? Okay, well, this is one that I know is a big deal for us specifically, right? It is a, what's the best word for it? Archaic. It is a, let's see, less marketing savvy demographic. Okay? Most contractors aren't marketers. This is a big deal. Most contractors don't use Facebook ads. They don't use Google ads. They don't use Rev content to bullet. Doesn't matter. There's all these platforms that we have learned and know how to use that most contractors don't know how to use. It is wild to me how many contractors use Google to find things themselves, but are not on Google. It doesn't make any sense. And so that's a huge, huge advantage. There's a big opportunity. Okay? Other opportunities. Right now, housing market is booming. Prices are high. Okay? That's a big deal. Because if prices are high and they're too expensive, then people will renovate instead of moving. But on the other side of it, and this is something that's very unique to renovations, right? If there is a recession, people are more likely to renovate. So it's a different bunch of people that you'd be working with, but there's a market in both sides, and that's something that's really important for me, especially, what I went through with my own father losing his job. Like, I knew that I wanted to be in something that was going to be protected in the case of economic depressions, right? Weaknesses, okay? So, competition from painters who don't refinish, but undercut prices. Weaknesses. Well, in my opinion, so a few things. Training takes longer than other trades without experience. Like, it's harder to teach somebody how to refinish cabinets than it is to teach somebody how to paint a wall with a brush. Now, in all reality, that's actually one of the strengths. And listen, this is something that's important to notice. Sometimes strengths will be weaknesses. And sometimes weaknesses will be strength, depending on how you look at it, right? Because the fact that it's going to be harder for people to compete with you because it's a high skill requirement means it's also going to be harder to train. However, for me personally, once I've reached the point in my business where I'm training, that means we're already profitable. And that is really important to me. If I'm already profitable, then I have more resources with which to solve that problem. So for me, I would much rather that be a later problem than a now problem. All right? So let's see. What are some of our threats? So maybe you could say like super cheap, low quality materials that look good new. They're getting really good at this, guys. They have like these, and there's nothing wrong with thermofoil or MDF, but there's different, like with anything else, there's different levels of quality amongst any type of product, and they have some really just poorly made particle wood cabinets that, they look nice for the first like year, 2 years, right? But they look really good year 1 and year 2, and then they quickly fall apart. And they're going to be people that want new stuff that doesn't kind of last rather than fixing your old stuff. You might even say that everybody loves new stuff. Sometimes that's a problem, right? Is what it is. Let's see, other threats. Claiming they can do the work. Undercutting prices. So there's two things, and this is different than the painters. I've seen painters that don't refinish, but they'll come in and say, yeah, I can get a job. It's going to look great. You're not going to notice. But then the other one that's I don't even know if I consider that a threat so much as a weakness, but it could be. It kind of depends on how you want to categorize it. But there are contractors that will come in. We call them Chuck with a truck. It's guys that, they're not certified. They're not. They don't have a license. They don't have insurance. They honestly shouldn't be doing the work at all. They don't know how, but they'll come in and they'll make promises, right? So that's a threat, right? And something that you have to be concerned about. Okay. So we can go different ways: promotion, key metrics. So let's look at key metrics, because for me, this kind of ties into our short-term goals. So key metrics: I want to be profitable within 90 days. Now, there's a lot of people that want to be profitable in the first year. I think I've read somewhere that the average business isn't profitable literally for the first 3 years, the average business. I'm not interested in average. I don't have 3 years to wait around for this thing to turn a profit. That's not how I run business. I'm not interested in running businesses at a loss. This ain't Uber, right? There are a lot of businesses out there that are, all about, well, we'll just go get a bunch of users, and sure, maybe in Silicon Valley. But here where I am, where I have bills to pay and I've got expectations and goals I'm trying to accomplish, we want to be profitable in the first 90 days. Our students that come through Cabinet Startup, that is pretty much the goal, hands down. We have an entire process that we take people through called 6 Figures in 20 weeks. And what that means is we want you on a 6-figure run rate. That means you're profiting $8,000 per month within 20 weeks. And we built an entire program around getting people to that level. So for me, number one, we want to be profitable within 90 days. Now, if you look at our plan, what that means is I intend to invest about $30,000 into getting this up and running. That doesn't always have to be all out at once, but I'm willing to invest up to $30,000 so that I can close 8 deals and make $32,000. If I'm profitable within 90 days, that means 90 days from that point, at 180 days, I have made a 2x return. Not a bad place to be. The other key metrics are really important to me, right? 50% profit margin. That's part of my long-term goal. 5-star review on at least 75% of projects. Now, I want to be very clear about this. This doesn't mean that 4-star reviews are acceptable, right? Maybe I should just say I want reviews on at least 75% of projects. I want 90%, 95% of reviews to be 5-star. These are metrics that we're looking at. Want video testimonials at least 25% of clients. So we're building out all these different things, okay? These are the metrics that are super important to me. You can have your own metrics and you can work through how to get that. Now, like with Cabinet Startup, we've got processes for each of these things. We've got scripts for the video testimonials. We've got ways to get reviews, different tools and processes, something that we train on. None of those things happen by accident. Your whole business works that way. Okay? Who are our target customers? For me, all right? Whoop, that's the wrong button. Here we go. Target customers. All right, I want anyone who's recently moved. Okay? Who else? Anyone wants to redo their kitchen, like to have more money to complete more work. So this is kind of like this is a really big thing. I laugh about this. Husbands who promised their wives renovations without first checking the cost. Or you can replace that. Wives who promised they were going to do reservations without talking to their husbands about the cost, right? Whatever the case may be, most people don't understand how expensive getting new cabinets is. Like if you walk into Home Depot and you try and get a whole new set of cabinets, you're going to be looking at, as much as 15, 25. I've seen people quoted $40,000 for a new set of kitchen cabinets. We can come in and refinish them and make them look brand new. I mean, literally, people that buy new cabinets will bring them to our shop and we finish the cabinets for them and then give them back and charge a fee for that. So the process that we use when we refinish our cabinets is the same process they use on new cabinets. Our refinished cabinets look as good as new cabinets look. And so we know that that's going to be a huge part of that demographic. So anyone that's recently moved, someone wants to redo their kitchen, somebody that's maybe overpromised, maybe we want to work with flippers. There's a whole bunch of different people that we can work with and whole different ways of getting in front of them. Okay? Now, promotion. How are we going to reach our customers? We've got an entire process for this. Listen, there's a ton of different ways to do this. Depends on what you know. Like paid media is really, really great if you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, it can be incredibly expensive. Part of the reason our students are able to reach that, that six-figure run rate in 20 weeks is because we've discovered and figured out most of the stuff that they need for the paid advertising, for actually getting that really, really fast start and how to do it effectively. If you don't have that yet, you may want to look at some alternative routes, right? But it could be paid ads, it could be word of mouth, it can be organic social, it could be door to door, it could be flyers at local golf course, whatever, guys. There's 100 different ways to do it. What you need to do is then actually take these ways that you're gonna get in front of your customers, right? And actually break down, okay, what makes sense, what doesn't, what's cost effective, what isn't. It takes time, but it's worth going through. All right, unique value proposition. What makes your business unique? Okay, for us, like for our shop in Texas, few things that make us unique. Number one, and this is with all cabinet refinishing, you can get brand new quality at a third of the price. Sometimes less than that, right? It really just depends on the kitchen. That's a huge deal. Unique value proposition. For us, keep doing that. Two, we have unparalleled customer service and support. And this is something we teach through Cabinet Startup. In the different businesses I've had over the years, one thing I know is you guys have probably heard the phrase, happy wife, happy life. Well, in this, happy customer, happy bank account, right? We take care of our clients. We are, I would say, almost to the point of being absurd with how intensely we pursue our customer experience, right? And we have all the different pieces around that, right? Standard operating procedures, everything that needs to happen from start to finish in every single role when you're dealing with the customer so that we know exactly what that's supposed to look like. Now, startup costs. Startup costs can be all over the place, right? This is something that you kind of have to decide for yourself. For me, typically when I'm looking at starting a business, like I like to budget, right? And I like to say, okay, cool. I could start this one of two ways. Number one is I could just be super, like I'm not going to invest any money and I'm just going to beat my head against the pavement, okay? The second way, and this is what a lot of people do, is I'm going to buy everything under the sun and then I'm going to figure out this business. I've seen guys that, talked to a guy one time, bought a $60,000 CNC machine before he had any customers. It's like, well, that's an expensive way to go about it. So for me, when I'm looking at startup costs, like what are the things that I need? Number one, knowledge. Okay, how do I do this? Who's the best expert? And I'm going to go pay that person for their time. Because here's the thing, if you think about it, right? If you're going to be working with somebody that is the best at what they do, you're going to have to pay them at least what they would be making out doing the thing that they're the best at, right? If somebody's able to go make $1,000 a day and you want a day of their time, you need to be prepared to pay them $1,000. Okay? Now, the real question is, what are you going to get from that? How much can you save from that? 2, right? Marketing. Now, this is what I think is the most important, because the reality is there's no point in me buying supplies. There's no point in me buying materials, sprayers, drills, any of that stuff if I don't have somebody that's willing to pay me first. Okay? If I don't have somewhere to be, there is no point to me buying a bus ticket. Make sense? So we don't want to put the cart before the horse. The horse is what's going to pull the cart. The horse is our clients. The cart is all the stuff that we need to take care of. So, marketing budget. What is it? Now, everybody can do a different thing. Like, we recommend having a couple $1,000s set aside for your marketing budget and knowing where that money is going to go. This money, if you don't know what you're going to do with it, can go really fast. You know, for example, if you hire a firm that does Facebook ads, right, and you pay them a $2,000 per month retainer, and you also pay them $2,000 in ad spend every month, and it takes them 3 months to get it all figured out and put together. Yeah, you spent $4,000 a month for 3 months. That's $12 grand, assuming it works. If it doesn't work, it could cost more than that. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't market it, but it does mean that you should figure out what you're going to do and how you're going to do it before you do it, right? Shop space. For me, what I like to look at is 15%, and we'll just do / overhead, 15% of revenue. And so, you know, our goal, right, I talked about this earlier, I want to make $32,000 in 90 days. It's about $10,000 a month, 15%. So I'm expecting $1,500 per month times 3 months, right? So let's just say we throw in some numbers here just for, you know, shiggles. Say I put a $10,000 marketing budget in there because I don't know what I'm doing. And then let's say that I put, I don't know, $10,000 for a, you know, training on how to do what I'm going to do. And, you know, these are just generic numbers, guys. Let's see, shop space overhead. So we're going to say that's a total of $4,500 that I'm going to spend. And then I already have a bunch of tools, which makes this a little bit easier for me. But let's just say that I might need to get a few other things, van, blah, blah. So I'm just going to say, okay, cool, another $4,000. And actually, for me, I already know how to start this business, so I'm going to just take that off of it and not even worry about it. But so we can add all this stuff up, right? When we did it, we went through everything, every single thing. Let's see, we need a website, and I don't want some, you know, hokey, looks like it was built in the 1990s website. Like, you know, this is not Geo Pages, so I'm going to get a nice website. So I'm probably going to spend, you know, a couple $1,000s on that. So let's just call that, you know, $4,000, and I'm going to get, you know, all my legal contracts, LLC, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say that's going to be another probably $3,000. So let's see, we're at 25, 30, right? What's that? Guys, I'm not a mathematician. What, 24.50, 28.50, 32.50. So, right, this right here, 36,500. That's what I'm estimating startup costs. Now, really important, startup costs, 36,500. Estimated year one revenue. Let's look. I'm saying that we're going to do 32,000 in 90 days. Assuming we don't grow at all and we just stick to that path, 32,000 times 90. I'm sorry. That's 9 days, 3 months. That would be times 4. Be $128,000. Now, another way of looking at it, estimated revenue 2 is if we look at it by week, if I can get my average job at 4,000, okay, and I can do one job per week, and I work 50 weeks a year, which is pretty common for most Americans, right? So 4,000 times 50, that would be 200,000. So let's just say I take the average of those. 128 plus 200 divided by 2, 328. All right, so that's average of 164,000. Now, we have guys that have blown past that. Those numbers aren't even that big, but you know, it's a good goal for year one. So if I did 164,000 and I invested 32,000, is that a good return? Hell yeah, it's a good return. That is a great return. So, year one, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now, we got all our metrics, got our customers. Next thing, funding. Now this is the part where most people get stuck, right? You know, it's been such a challenge for people that we actually introduced our own funding program within the Cabinet Startup Program, where we basically help people get started for less and spread out those costs, because it can be really hard. However, part of the reason that most people have trouble getting funding, right, and when I explain this, it won't come as a surprise, it's because they've never done this. They've never taken time to map out the whole business. And so because they've never mapped out the whole business, when they go to a bank and they go, hey, look, guys, I'm thinking about starting this business. They go, okay, well, how are you going to make money? Like, I'm going to paint things. Oh, where do you get customers? I'm not sure yet. Oh, well, how much money do you need? I'm also not sure yet. Okay, well, what are you going to be spending that money on? Well, definitely business stuff. Yeah, no wonder the bank didn't give you money. If your friend came to you and said, hey, I need some money, and you say, what for? I've got an idea. What's your idea? Well, it's a thought. Okay, neat. Well, no, you can't have money for a thought if you can't explain the thought. Even if your friend said, hey, I've got a business. What's your business? Well, my business is to sell stuff to people. Yeah, you're going to need something more specific than that. I need to know what you're selling. I need to know what your profit margins are. I need to know where you're getting customers, right? The bank's job is to make more money, which means they can only invest in things they are confident are going to make money. So, we have to figure out how to present it. Now, the bank is not the only way, right? You can get really creative. Like, for example, we have a guy out of North Carolina that started this business with us. He literally found out that in his 401k, he could move his money, and as long as he replaced it, there was no fee. So guess what his job was? His job was to figure out how to make every dollar that he spent back in 90 days, right? Look familiar? From there, right? Different things we can do. Okay, 401k, stocks. What else? You have a Roth. You know, one of the things a lot of people don't know is, like with Roth IRAs, for example, you can take out the money that you originally put into it, or at least I'm pretty sure that's what my financial advisor said. Fair disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so maybe I'm wrong here. But last time I talked to my financial advisor, I was able to take money out of my Roth so long as I wasn't taking out the money that had accrued as interest. So I could take out my initial investment, right? That is a big deal. Okay, what else? Friends, family, business partner, savings, local bank, refinance house, right? There's a lot of different ways. If you lived in the same house for 10 years, you can refinance that house, and usually you can get $30,000 out. Okay, you will have accrued $30,000 in 10 years in the vast majority of homes. So here's the thing that's really important. If you're going to be serious about getting funding and being able to start your business and then repaying that back, you need to know the path and the process, right? Which is why it's so important to go fill this out. Last thing, How will your business drive profit or sales? Now, there should be some overlap. We've talked about this before. Okay, for us, how are we going to drive profit/sales? Well, it's really about the business model. Okay, and so when I look at mapping this out, how am I going to do it? What does the actual revenue model look like? Okay, so revenue, low, and then we'll do actually both. We'll do a revenue on the low end, and we'll do revenue on the high end. And again, do this for your own business if you're doing a different one, but revenue high. All right, so on our low end, 3,500, okay? Let's do it like this here. We'll do revenue, CAC, which is client acquisition, materials, overhead. Now, I like doing overhead as a percentage, okay? And the reason I like doing that is because then I can, change it with each thing. Okay, so CAC, acquisition, materials, overhead. Now, here's what's cool about this. So we said on the low end, right, 3,500 bucks, okay? Client acquisition. I know the numbers for cabinet startup because we've been doing this for a long time. Using the systems we use, I know I could plan consistently for it to be less than $400. Our average student's like $200 to $300 when they're using our systems, but I like to be conservative in my numbers. If it's an average of $200 to $300, I'm going to guess $400 because all that extra money, if we do hit that mark, comes back in my pocket. Win-win situation. Materials, let's say we're using 3 gallons of paint. We're using expensive paint. Let's call it, $90 a gallon. So 90 times 3, that's $270 in paint. And then let's say that we spend another $100 on painter's plastic and tape and things like that. That puts us at $370. You guys can't see this, but I'm literally drinking an energy drink right now. So let's say, for me, $30 energy drink budget. Okay, this is on a per job basis, so that's 10 energy drinks in one job. That would be a lot. I'll probably die of caffeine, but let's just round up. So we'll say 400, and then overhead's 15%, right? So we're looking at 3,000 times 15. That's 525. So what does that mean? I'm starting this business. I'm out here doing the work myself when I start. So 3,500 minus 400 minus 400 minus 525. That is 2175. Not bad. Okay. Now, on the high side, 4,500. My material costs really aren't going to change that much. The job difference isn't going to be that much because I'm talking about difference in how I'm setting up my pricing. Client acquisition is going to be about the same. Material is going to be about the same. But let's just account for that with the overhead because, again, it's a percentage. So 675. Okay, not too bad. So what does that look like? 4,500 minus 400 minus 400 minus 675. So $3,025. Now, here's the sweet thing about this, right? That $3,025, that is money in my pocket. Okay? Say it one more time. That is money in my pocket. That is what I keep. Now, I'm going to reinvest this back into the business, but this is where things get really, really great. We know our sales, we know our profit. What is our profit margin? Okay? Well, 2175 minus 3,500. On my low end, I'm looking at 62%. I can live with that. I can live with that. In fact, if you can't live with a 62% profit margin, you should go ahead and just stop this video right now because there's no business out there that you're going to be happy with. It's just not going to happen. Okay? And then see on the high end, bigger jobs, we make more money. Woo! 67%. Now, there's a lot that goes into this, okay? You got to have a sales process that's good enough to get you $3,500 to $4,500. You have to be good enough at your actual delivery that you're only spending $400 in materials because you're not screwing up and having to redo things again and again and again, okay? You have to make sure that your time frames are correct because we can do a job in 1 week, but I've met lots of refinishers that might take 2 or 3 weeks to do the same job, okay? Well, that cuts your monthly profit down by half. Your profit margin might be the same if you're the one doing all the work, but your total income goes down. But what I'm looking for is 4 jobs a week. So that would be somewhere between about $12,000 to $9,000, $9,000 to $12,000 in profit. And I want to be at that level, right, within 90 days. I want to get there in 90 days. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. If you have any questions or you got stuck on something, you aren't sure about something, you can message me directly. Okay, you can come find me. It is wilson@cabinetstartup.com. Or you can come to our program. It's www.cabinetstartupprogram.com. Or check us out on Facebook at The Cabinet Startup. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you'd like to learn how to run your own business, or if you just want to learn the skill, if you just want to come out and learn how to refinish cabinets. Again, you only need to close 1 job to put $3,000 profit in your pocket, right? If you want to come learn how to do that, let me know. Come reach out to us, come find us, and appreciate your time. Hope you guys have a great day.